All right, check the mic. We're live. Instant reaction time for week 9. Much better week than last week, Sam. I always started with this was a wild one. All the 1 o'clocks were pretty much right down to the wire. And we just saw the Bills and Jags with some last-second wins in the 4 o'clock window. Let's just start with the biggest game of the day. Let's go Bills 28, Chiefs 21. Bills get the win in the regular season once again. They move to 6-2. Chiefs fall to 5-4.
Yeah, crazy game. By the way, for everyone wondering where we were, we wait until the last game, unless the last game's over. These two went long, a long game with the Chiefs in Buffalo, and then an overtime game with Jacksonville against the Raiders. So, it was a late start relative. The time is, the time is a placeholder. It's when the game's finished.
Yeah. I thought everybody knew that. I thought time just sits there, and as soon as the last, unless it's a blowout with the last game, we might make call an audible, get in there early, but right to the wire, and then we go live. Go, carry on. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a game that Buffalo was the better team and kind of comfortably ahead and looked like they were winning handily, and then really just 4th and 17, that crazy play, Kansas City very quickly scores a touchdown, adds a 2-point conversion. All of a sudden, you're like, wow, this is a 1-score game. And, Kansas City Chiefs in a 1-score game, anything could happen. Buffalo almost completely iced it, almost salted it away, missed the kick, dunked it off the upright. Kansas City had one last chance to win it, but weren't able to get it done.
It really felt like the perfect game for the Bills outside of a couple high leverage plays. There was a 3rd and long that Mahomes converted to Travis Kelce. There's the 4th and 17. There was like a couple big plays that the Chiefs made in there, but the Bills defense essentially challenged completions, made it difficult for the Chiefs offense. And on offense, for the Bills offense, Josh Allen finishes 23 of 26 for 273. It was like, hey, we want to run the ball first and foremost, but when we choose to pass, when we run play action, somebody's open, usually Dalton Kincaid. And so the Bills ran, it was like a perfect game outside of a missed field goal, the big plays, and that's why it's a 7-point game. But Buffalo, for the, 4th straight year, you say, hey, you win this regular season game. Now, how do you bottle that up and bring it to the playoffs? I thought the Chiefs pulled out some of their good stuff in this game, too. It wasn't like they're sleepwalking through this thing. The 4th and 17 play was spectacular. I want to break it down tomorrow. But yeah, huge win for the Bills. And Chiefs fall to 5-4, and it's a big one with playoff implications and the whole deal, just like it is every year.
Yeah, I mean, a big statement win for Buffalo kind of keeps them in with chasing down the Patriots at the top of that division. And more to the point is a sort of statement game that they can go and beat the Chiefs again. And okay, they've done that in the regular season before. The playoffs is a different thing. But yeah, an important kind of statement win for them to show that they were the better team in this game. And it played out that way. For the Chiefs, I'm not saying like none of it is problematic. I still think that they make the playoffs almost regardless of what happens. But, Denver won, the Chargers as well. Like they're losing ground in the division. So they may have to do it the hard way in the playoffs if they make it this year. Yeah.
And it just, Chiefs margin for error. We expect them to be in the mix at the end, right? In the hunt. But their margin for error with playing Denver twice, the Chargers one more time, the Colts, like they've got tough games that they might be favored in all the way through, but they were favored today. They're going to be tough games for the Chiefs. Let's go back to the 1 o'clock hour. Let's go the crazy game right down the street here. Chicago Bears 47, Cincinnati Bengals 42. One of those games where you throw the notes from the first half out the window, Sam. A lot of stuff happened, a lot of crazy stuff, but it was the end, the very end with the Bears blowing essentially a 2-score lead and the Bengals then coming back and then blowing their 6-point lead or whatever it was, or their small lead. Losing track of what happened, but the Bears get the win, man. What a wild one.
Yeah, not one iota of defense was played on either side in this game. Chicago had something like 280 plus yards rushing and 290 plus yards passing. The Bengals weren't far behind.
We call that the Urban Meyer. That's what he said he wanted every game.
Right. It turns out if you do that every game, you win. I mean, Urban said it, and that's what's happening. Joe Flacco almost put up 500 yards in an attempt to keep pace. They didn't run the ball particularly well, but they didn't need to because Flacco was just passing it left, right, and center. Now, he did get picked off for the first time during his Bengals tenure. Like, finally, there were some plays that actually were negatives. And Like the Bengals are 5 points back in this game and turned the ball over 3 times.
Yeah, all of it was nuts. I mean, Flacco throw the interception, which seemed to seal it, throws it to Tremaine Edmonds. It's a 2-score game at the time. Edmonds looks like he returns it like 95 yards for a touchdown. That wasn't. Clearly, that would have put him up 3 scores.
Like he's brushed on the way down, and they're like, "Nah, that's down by contact. So pick 6 is only a pick." And that was the thing that gave the Bengals life. Like if he legitimately picked that off and took it the distance, and they let it stand, game over. But
and then, ironically, first off, I don't know how the Bengals are playing Big 12 games from 10 years ago, like an old school Big 12 no defense game. Baker Mayfield versus Patrick Mahomes, 63-57. Every week, the Bengals are playing this same game. It doesn't matter who they're playing against, but they did the same thing that got them last week too. They're down 14. They score the touchdown. They go for 2. Now they're within 6. Hey, if everything breaks right, if you could score a touchdown next, you get the lead. That's what they did, 42-41. But you left 50-something seconds for Caleb Williams and the Bears. They're just trying to get into field goal range. And then how do you always say it? The Bengals conspired to not tackle Colston Loveland for a 58-yard touchdown to seal it for the Bears. What a just wild finish all the way around.
Yeah, crazy, utterly ridiculous game.
5-3 Bears. They did it. They got over the hump. They got to that 5th win before week 18. The Bengals are now sitting here at 3-6. They made the Flacco move. It certainly kept their offense on track. Absolutely kept their offense on track. But now we're sitting here going to the trade deadline this week saying Trey Hendrickson's up, maybe up for grabs. Like, are they sellers now? This defense is atrocious in Cincinnati.
It's abysmal. I mean, look, the Flacco thing should have saved their season. Like they got the win against Pittsburgh that nobody saw coming and cost Pony his nipples. And then the 2 games since, they've screwed it up against the Jets. They've screwed it up against the Bears. Like they could have won either of those games if their defense could just make any kind of stop. And even in this game, like all these Bengals offensive players are like coming to the locker room being like, one stop. Like we made the crazy comeback. Just one stop is all you needed to do. And they weren't able to get it done.
All right, let's stay in the AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers get the win against the Colts. The Mike Tomlin game, Sam. Look, my record's terrible. I don't predict a lot of things right as far as volume goes. But every now and again, we stumble into one. The Steelers did it, 27-20 over the Colts.
You said it at the time, and I hated how accurate it was because it makes no damn sense, and it still makes no damn sense. The Colts turned the ball over 6 times in this game, and they were like every type of turnover you can come up with. Like one, you get the classic TJ Watt, elite play, just the trifecta, goes around the tackle, strip sack, recovers it. I mean, okay, there's not much you can do about that other than the fact that he hasn't been doing that so far this season. You also get the ridiculous, like he just throws a batted pass and that bounces right in the hands of Jack Sawyer for another interception, for an interception. Everything went against the Colts that could have gone against them. And Pittsburgh's defense that hadn't been showing up for the last several weeks decided today was the day they were going to show why they were the best, the best paid defense in the NFL. Like ridiculous game.
So it opens up the questions. Again, we'll break all these games down tomorrow, 7 a.m. in much more detail. But the outdoor game for the Colts, Daniel Jones just didn't look right. They certainly didn't block it up well. It was the worst the Colts looked as far as pass protection went. And it was the best the Steelers defense had looked in a while. They had that one game, against the Browns, they looked pretty good against Dylan Gabriel, but they forced a bunch of turnovers against New England. But this was the Pittsburgh defense that made things difficult on the Colts, especially after the first drive, and then forced all those turnovers, as you said. And Mike Tomlin continues to just lead this roller coaster of a team with the Steelers where you have back-to-back disappointments. A tough loss last week. It's a good Packers team, but a disappointment against the Bengals, and then you upset the Colts and you just ride this roller coaster. So we'll see what's next for Tomlin and the Steelers. But they needed it, man. They needed to not lose 3 in a row. They moved to 5-3. Colts moved to 7-2. They're still in a power position here as far as the AFC goes. Let's stay in the AFC. Denver 18-15 over the Houston Texans. I like when I tweeted out that the Bengals play an old school Big 12 game every week, somebody's like, I can't believe this is the same sport as what I'm watching in Denver and Houston. Because you've got no defense on one side, and it's like you can't even complete a pass on the other side. The other big story, CJ Stroud going down with a concussion fairly early in this game.
Yeah, neither team passed for over 200 yards in this game. Whereas Flacco, like combined, they had less yards than Flacco did passing in that game. Defensive battle. Both defenses played outstanding. That was expected, right? Like Denver's defense was going to cause problems for this Houston offense, and Houston's defense is elite as well. I think, again, there were some more plays there to be had for Denver, and eventually they ended up making a couple late in the game. Though, again, it's like whenever they're really up against it, it's just Bo Nix scrambling. Like Bo Nix scrambling makes the difference when nothing else is working for Denver.
A designed rollout where he goes back against the grain. I don't know if the whole thing was designed, but he read that pretty quickly on the rollout. He said, "Hey, I get the field open." That run got the Broncos into field goal range to set up the game winner. So they're sitting here in first place in the AFC West at 7-2 still, but a game above the Chargers, who are 6-3, and 2 games now up on the Chiefs with 2 games to play against them. So the Chiefs and the Broncos and Chargers really putting themselves in position to, if you want to knock the Chiefs out of the playoffs, those teams have the ability in those, in the remaining games in that division to do just that. Davis Mills came in, made a few good throws for Houston, but again, the defense has dominated this game, mostly as we expected. Carolina, one of the upsets of the day. The upset of the day, 16-13 over the Packers at home as well. It kind of felt like this early on. The Panthers they're playing the underdog role really well, keeping it close. Jordan Love with some head scratching decisions in this one. Only one official interception, but just some head scratchers generally. And the Panthers defense did a great job to slow down the Packers.
Yeah, Jordan. I mean, this looked more like a Jordan Love college game where it's like there were some weird plays there where you're like, what are you seeing on this play? There were, it was the opposite of the game that Carolina played for a lot of the season, where they kind of shot themselves in the foot early and dug themselves a hole. And then, they're not really a good enough team to play from a disadvantageous position for like the entire game. This was one where they kept themselves in an advantageous position for like the entire game. And it's like, if things are benefiting them just a bit, they're good enough to cause you problems. Like the defense was consistently an issue for Green Bay and their offense. Like they got the early turnover from Savion Williams, punched the ball out. And then even without Bryce Young having a lot of production, I mean, he had like 100 yards. Rico Dowdle looks fantastic again. And Jordan Love making weird decisions, and Green Bay, weren't able to pull it out until late. And even then, Carolina answered.
Really impressive from Dowdle to go 5.2 yards per carry on 25 carries, just a high volume effort in a close game. And he has the big carry to set up the game-winning field goal, and great clock management by the Panthers to run it all down, kick the game-winning field goal. They moved to 5-4, Sam. And, big win on the road, big bounce back after a tough one last week, getting smoked by the Bills, unable to stop the run last week. They did a much better job. And like I said, just made a bunch of big plays. Felt like the Packers were maybe depending on big plays a lot over these last few weeks, and they just didn't get enough of those. They fall to 5-2-1. So we're going to unpack all of the records with their stupid tie all season. Panthers 5-4 though, man. They're lurking. And that was a huge win for them. Other upset, the Vikings back in the win column, 27-24 over the Lions. Just throw all of our narratives out the window. They've got a tough schedule. They're 3-4. Season's lost. Well, J.J. McCarthy comes in, makes some big plays early, and just an awesome scramble for a touchdown to get the win against the Lions in the Dome.
Yeah, it's like this week was every time you think you have any kind of narrative or team, pegged, no. Immediately the next week, as soon as you think you understand one team, they're going to have the next game that goes completely against that. That was almost every single team this week. Nobody's week this week made any sense relative to a week ago.
Except Flores, the Bengals. The Bengals are the same team every week, Sam.
That's true. They're the only one. Flores' defense have been getting lit up left, right, and center, and going up against the team that's caused them like the most problems, even when his defense has been elite. And their defense looked really good against Detroit. The Lions ended up putting up, 300 yards total by the end of it. But this was the biggest struggle that they had against Flores and his defense for maybe since he got there. The defense played well. J.J. McCarthy made some plays early on. should have had more. I mean, he put a ball right in Jordan Addison's hands for a touchdown. Addison couldn't come up with it. They have to then come back, later on that drive. But I mean, McCarthy, again, like the narrative on him was everyone was like, what if he's just terrible? I mean, he's had, 2 games, 8 quarters or whatever, of which 7 were probably pretty bad. What if he's just awful? And he came out and looked really good. So look, this is going to be we're going to be flip-flopping on McCarthy for the rest of the season. It's going to be good game, bad game, whatever. We're good. Like the opinions on him are going to go all over the place, but that was impressive. Like decent performance against a good team and a pretty good defense, albeit one that's banged up. And then the Vikings defense bouncing back from getting gashed for the last few weeks.
Even if JJ does have his ups and downs, man, I think he showed he can make some big throws when he needs to. That scramble was outstanding. I think Anzalone closing on him quick, and he just cut the angle on him to get into the end zone. And you're right, like the Vikings defense, this is the best they've looked in a while, especially given the circumstances where the Lions had really had a ton of success against them in recent years, sacking Jared Goff 5 times. And the Lions, big 4th and 4 early to Sam Laporta. It was a lot of 4th down plays that the Lions made where the Vikings just made it far more difficult than they had in recent weeks on the defensive side of the ball. So impressive win for them. They're 4-4. Lions fall to 5-3. That entire division just compressing now. Bears are 5-3. Packers 5-2-1. The North is going to be getting crazy in the coming weeks. New England Patriots 24-23 over the Atlanta Falcons. This one came right down to the wire. An incredible one-handed catch from Drake London, his 3rd touchdown of the game. Looked like it was going to tie it up, but the Falcons missed the extra point, and that was pretty much it. When the Patriots ended up, get the ball back, they run it out. Falcons forced a couple turnovers to stay in this game. Patriots were up early, couple scores, but man, missed extra points going to really come back to bite as Atlanta heads overseas for next week's game.
Yeah, that's a huge missed opportunity for them. Like they were buried in this game. The Patriots had it well in hand. They were in control. They were dominating the game. And then the 2 first-round pass rushing rookies combined to save the game. Like both of them, one of them got the pressure. The other one scooped up the loose ball and returned it for a touchdown. That was just before halftime when the Patriots were, A, they had the ball and potentially were going to score again, and B, they were getting the ball coming out of halftime. So it was such an important sequence for the Falcons to keep themselves in this game. And then, late in the game, like Drake London just making ridiculous plays all over people, mossing Christian Gonzalez down one sideline, making an absurd catch for his 3rd touchdown of the game. And then a kicker misses the extra point and blows the game for them.
Former Patriots kicker Parker Romo with the miss there. So New England moves to that's why. Patriots moved to 7-2. That's 6 straight for them. They've got a great game next week, staying in the NFC South against the Bucs in the 1:00 window. That's your Nance Romo game next week, Sam. So get ready. It wasn't as clean as New England had played in recent weeks, but now you're showing. Like I think Atlanta's a better team than some of the teams that New England had faced in recent weeks. You show you could beat a good team again, and Atlanta's 3-5 now, and tough road here, man. As they go play the Colts. I think is it in Germany next week. Going to be a tough one.
Berlin.
Yeah, that's Germany, right?
It is.
Just kidding. I know. What else we have? 1:00 window. Niners got the win 34-24 over the Giants. Mac Jones, another really efficient game at one point. Hadn't missed a pass, and he had more bloody noses than incompletions at one point, Mac Jones. But he's a baller, stayed in there. Christian McCaffrey, another 28 carries for 106, had a touchdown through the air and running. Niners just took care of business again, man.
Yeah, pretty comfortable win. They were just too good for the Giants on both sides of the ball. Whatever about, Jackson Dart looking pretty good, looking like he might be the quarterback, the answer there. Obviously, losing Scadaboo has an impact on that backfield. They didn't have a great run game in this game. But the defense is getting wrecked like the last few weeks in a row. And this is a defense that, we thought could be pretty good, particularly with the defensive front that they're able to deploy. And that's despite, forcing a turnover where, again, two edge rushers combined. Brian Burns got the pressure this time, and Abdul Carter went up and took it away. Like, despite an elite play like that, they're still coughing up almost 400 yards in the overall. And, like, their defense needs to do better.
A couple more to just touch on quickly. Again, we're going game by game tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., full thing right here on the YouTube channel. In the 1:00 window, Chargers got the win 27-20 over the Titans. Titans fall to 1-8. Chargers now 6-3, so they're the team, right? Game behind the Broncos in the West. And yeah, we'll touch on the Rams in a second. But Chargers 27-20. Titans kept it close, man. They covered. They fought hard once again, but they're just not as good as the Chargers.
Yeah, but it was a game where like it wasn't really close, but the Chargers spotted them 2 touchdowns effectively. It's like you gave up one, pick six and then a special teams touchdown. It's like, all right, well, so at one point it was like 17-20 or something, and the Titans hadn't got a score on offense or hadn't got a touchdown on offense. So yeah, I mean, like that was the kind of thing that needed to happen if they were going to cover or even hang in this game. They needed touchdowns out of weird sources. They got them, but it still wasn't enough for them to hang in there. I mean, every week you see 1 or 2 throws from Cam Ward. They're like, that looks amazing, but there's just not enough there from everybody.
Yeah, it's another week where it's difficult to evaluate, especially against a tough Chargers defense. And then the Rams, pretty dominant win against the Saints, 34-10. Matthew Stafford dealing again, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Devontae Adams looking unstoppable in the red zone. Puka Nacua with an outstanding catch for a touchdown. He left the game injured, and it was also Tyler Shuck's NFL debut. Looked like the same, much of the same Saints team that they've been all season.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly like, if the logic for Tyler Shuck coming in for Spencer Rattler was, well, he's going to spark something, we're going to, go in a different direction on offense. Probably not. I mean, I don't think we're going to see that from him. They had 2 turnovers on offense. One of them was late in the game with the game basically over and Shuck just trying to throw it and make something happen. The other one was a peanut punch in Alvin Kamara. So it's not even like putting him in there, stop the offense, turning the ball over either. It is what it is for the Saints. They are going to be overmatched in a lot of these games. And I doubt Shuck is going to be something that dramatically transforms that offense. The Rams, though, not the best opposition in the world, but they look dominant. I mean, they put themselves at least temporarily in first place in that division. But again, like 3 out of the 4 teams in that division look really good.
Yeah, and if you look at the entire conference, man, it's going to be a race, and it's going to be wide open. 6-2 Rams, Niners are 6-3. Seahawks play tonight; they're 5-2. We know the North is strong. Eagles still 6-2. A lot of football to be played, but man, the NFC. The current 6 or 7 seed could be the 1 seed by the end of it, the way it's all setting up. And then the Jags get the win in overtime. Failed 2-point conversion by the Raiders. Jags get the win 30-29. Brock Bowers makes his return for the Raiders. 12 catches, 127 and 3 touchdowns. And then unfortunately, tomorrow morning we have to talk about Travis Hunter, his injury being out for the Jags, but they get the win and they move to 5-3 with the overtime win against the Raiders.
Yeah, and a game where it was very, very boring for most of the game and then caught fire late on and got it to overtime and production in the fourth quarter and beyond.
You wanted to end you said this game, they should just cancel the game.
I just asked the question. If they simply stopped playing it and everyone went home after the first quarter, would people miss it?
We would have missed Cam Little's record-breaking 68-yard field goal.
It's true.
We would have missed exciting overtime. We would have missed, Geno Smith batted pass at, with the game on the line, 2-point conversion for the Jags to seal it. Man, would have missed a lot. So I thought it was exciting.
Yeah, I mean, look, Brock Bowers coming back does change that offense, and I think that's a big thing for the Raiders. The field goal, the record field goal is an important thing as well. 68 yards, and it was good from a lot longer than that. It's only a matter of time and, more to the point, opportunity, because you have to actually be in the right circumstance to even be given the shot. Someone's going to have a 70-plus yarder record probably this season.
If Little really cared, he would have false started on his own and kicked it from 73.
Backed it up 5.
Yeah, kicked from 73.
Don't worry.
Yeah, that's what would Janikowski do these days? Final question from Mohall. Yes, did you watch the end of the World Series, 9th or 10th inning?
No, I didn't, but I heard you sent me messages about it, and that's
God, Yamamoto. How he pitched 96 pitches the night before to come in on 0 days rest. It's like playing a football game the next day. Think about how you feel playing a football game and just showing up the next day to play.
I mean, all I'm hearing, you ridicule my suggestion that you should just take your best player and have him play again, and you were like, "You can't do that. That's insane." And apparently, that's what happened.
I'm not trying to predict doom and gloom. I'm just saying keep an eye on his arm in the coming years. There might be an injury coming up, but you only do that
off season the rest now.
You only do that in Game 7 of the World Series, and when the World Series is on the line,
You still acted like it was crazy when I suggested that for Game 7 of the World Series.
No, not for Game 7. You suggested Shohei pitch every game. I said, that's crazy.
I
That's
mean, I
actually
wondered
literally
why
impossible.
it didn't happen, period. But then, of course, I asked for Game 7. I was like, has Shohei pitched? And you're like, yeah. So we can't have him pitch now. No, you're like, it's crazy.
Let's answer this question. It's directed at Sam, but it might be more to me. Are you calling for Tomlin to stop coaching the Steelers? I don't think you made a call for that. I think I've leaned into that take. Not that he's done, but that we need to talk about it.
Well, yeah, the point is whatever happens at the end of this season is going to be like what I suggested, that there are effectively two potential courses right now, which is number one, things go badly enough that they don't even make the playoffs this time, and Tomlin finally has his losing season, in which case I think it's a fairly easy call that you can go in a different direction, that people have been calling for a while, or they put it together, they cling on at the top of that division, they hold off Baltimore, they make the playoffs, and they are in that bucket that a couple of teams have been in recent years where, you make the playoffs, but you run into a really good team and you just get wrecked. And if that happens, I still think there's a reasonable call where he gets sort of Marty Schottenheimer, where you're like, look, this is nice, but we're done with this. This is too many times where you're getting embarrassed in the postseason. Either way, one upset win against the Indianapolis Colts, where it required 6 turnovers to happen, and everyone is calling it the upset of the season, is utterly inconsequential to that narrative, right? It does not change that whatsoever. In fact, it was baked into the argument because you predicted that this was the game he would win. So it doesn't change it at all. Like, people coming back, like trying to take victory laps after individual games in an NFL season are insane.
Calling our listeners insane. Yeah, I mean,
one listener I'm calling insane.
The millions and millions of others are great, though. We appreciate you guys so much so that we have memberships. We've got a subscription button there so you can get all the stuff on YouTube. So we appreciate everybody. We appreciate you enough as well to talk for 3 hours. I have a feeling it's going to be a long show tomorrow. Lots to talk about, lots of close games. So 3 hours or so tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. right here. Check the mic. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Enjoy Sunday Night Football. See you tomorrow morning.
Wow.